Lessons from Jonah, Part 6. In Jonah chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, it says, "From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, 'In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled around me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple.'" The first thing that Jonah did when he was in the fish's belly is he prayed to God. It does not say how long he was in the sea, but the scripture does, his prayer, actually lets us know that he was out in the sea long enough to actually cry for help. Verse 2 again says, "He said, 'In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry.'" Jonah acknowledges that God heard his cry. I want to acknowledge and recognize that Jonah cried out to God. In verse 3, it says, "You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me." So Jonah was aware that God hurled him into the sea and that it was God's waves and God's currents sweeping over him. His heart posture was not to blame God. If we're blaming someone, we don't ask them to help us and then trust that they will. In verse 4, it says, "I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple." Jonah felt a sense of rejection from God's presence, yet still chose to look again to God for help. The lesson in this part of the story is focus on the right thing. Every day that we wake up, we have a choice. We can choose to focus on what we have and learn how to be grateful, or we can choose to focus on what we don't have. We can choose to focus on the fact that we have all of our needs met, or we can choose to focus on all the things that we want. Jonah was not in an ideal situation, yet that didn't stop him from praying to God and seeking God's help. It shouldn't stop us either. Like Jonah, we should keep looking. Our job is to look to God and not try to figure out things on our own, how to get ourselves out of bad situations, including those situations that we've caused ourselves. God saw Jonah's heart, and God sees our heart too. My encouraging scripture is coming from Matthew chapter 6, verses 7 to 8. "And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him."